I want to open up to the book of John this morning and read to you something from John chapter 4. I'll start in verse 46 and read through verses 54. How's that? Talking about Jesus. So he came again to Cana in Galilee, where he had made the water wine. And at Capernaum, there was an official whose son was ill. Now, an official is basilikos in Greek. It means a royal person or an officer in the service of a king. So this was an officer in the service of a king, right? Or a royal official. His son was ill. Ill is asthenio. That's where we get asthma. Asthenio. Astheneo is weak, feeble, or sick physically. So it can be you're weak, feeble, or sick physically. The man's son was ill. When this man heard that Jesus had come from Judea to Galilee, he went to him and asked for him to, listen to this, to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. His son was at the point of death. So he wanted him to come down, which is kata bahino. Kata bahino. It means to come down or to descend. Descend is to what? Go down, get down, right? Ascend is to go up. Descend is to go down. So he wants Jesus to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. So if Jesus was coming from Judea to Galilee, that means Judea was the high place, right? And Galilee was the low place. So Jesus is at the high place and he's going to descend. Go to the lower place. So Jesus said to him in verse 48, unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. The official said to him, Sir, come down before my child dies. Once again, he says, come down. Kata bahino. Jesus said to him, go. Your son will live. The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and went on his way. And as he was going down, his servants met him and told him that his son was recovering. So this guy was going down, kata bahino again, 3 times it's used. As he was going down, his servants met him and told him that his son was recovering. Ooh, that is ascension right there now. His son recovering is ascension. To be sick, that's descending. That's a low place. A high place is to be recovering. So he asked them the hour when he began to get better. And they said to him, yesterday, at the 7th hour, the fever left him. So the fever was gone, the sickness was gone, but now the guy's just was trying to, probably need to eat some food, get some water in him. That's why he was recovering. It wasn't because the sickness, there was residual sickness in him. No, at the 7th hour, the fever had left him, right? 7th hour, the number 7, perfection and rest and even completion. How do you like that? Sabbath, 7th, right? The father knew that was the hour when Jesus had said to him, your son will live. And he himself believed, and all his household. This was now the 2nd sign that Jesus did when he had come from Judea, the high place, to Galilee, the lower place. 2nd sign. What was the first sign? The first sign is when he went to a wedding celebration, right? You might call it a reception today. He went there. Everybody was having a great time. They were eating, they were dancing, but they were also doing something else. Do you know what it was? They were drinking. And they drank everything. They drank all of the alcohol. So Jesus gets there, and his mom says, hey son, why don't you make some more alcohol for them? Right? And Jesus ends up doing it. He makes the best wine they had ever tasted, they had ever drank. And he did it after everybody had already been drunk. Sorry about that, you guys. I was adjusting my little earphone. These are new ones. My other ones I can't talk on. If somebody calls me, I can't talk on the phone with them. The AirPods. So I had to get a new pair. They're really expensive too, but they work really well. I was just adjusting them because they actually kind of hurt my ears a little bit. I've been noticing I've been getting like a little bit of almost like a scab inside my ear, kind of, because they're kind of wearing the skin out. So maybe I need to develop calluses in my ears or something to handle them. But anyway, sorry about that. So when I adjusted it, it stopped the video. For you, it was just like a split second. But for me, I'm like, oh man, it just now stopped. So we're back on. Now, Jesus didn't make this wine because he's encouraging drunkenness. And for the religious people, he did not make the best grape drink that they ever had drank before. You know what I'm saying? He didn't make grape juice. No, he made wine. That's what they were having at the wedding, and he made it. Now there's a time for everything. He's showing us that there's a time for everything, right? There's a time to celebrate, and when you're celebrating, if you're gonna have wine, nobody should judge you about that. People get very religious or sensitive. I know people that grew up with fathers that were alcoholics. I know women that had husbands that were alcoholics, and the men were very abusive. Whether it was a father or a husband, they were abusive to them. Abusive to the children, abusive to the wife, perhaps even the dog. And they saw that alcohol was very destructive. So there are people that are hypersensitive to alcohol, and if you were to drink a glass of wine in front of them, they would think you're an alcoholic. They might even accuse you or say they're offended, right? And of course, we always want to be cautious around people that have those sensitivities, you guys, right? It's okay to say no to drinking if you're around somebody that's really sensitive to it. Might even be a blessing for them if you just refrain from it in front of them. Why? To help them in their weakness, to feed their weakness, that they're weak in their faith, they can't handle it? No. It's just being kind. You never know, though. Your kindness might help them to quit being judgmental to others, because not everybody's going to be abusive if they have alcohol. Not everybody's going to be a jerk. Not everybody's going to lose it, Okay, so but taking all that aside, I don't have to explain to you that Jesus turned water into wine. You guys already know that. Most of you do, except for some. Some believe he made some really good grape juice. Oh, this is the best grape juice I've ever had. Wow, it beats the grape juice we had before. We drank all that. Okay, religious one. Go ahead and believe that. That's okay. So, going back to this ascension and descension, because this year is a year that I've been speaking about ascension and experiencing it just like that, immediately or even suddenly. I've had a lot of experiences this year already where honestly I thought I hit my lowest lows. You know, I can't really compare the past. I've been at my lowest lows in the past, trust me. But you know, when you're living it at the moment, and man, sometimes it feels like there's just no way out. And your feelings say, look, God's not with you after all. He abandoned you. He wants you to go through this all alone. He doesn't care what you're going through. Those thoughts are not true. And of course, the enemy would love for you to keep on thinking that way. But the truth is this, you guys, he's always with you, and he is for you. You are on his right side. He sits you to his right, places you at his right, meaning a place of favor. You understand that? And favor is his grace. His grace. He favors you. He graces you. So, you might, like me, have experienced this year some very low places where instead of having ascension where you are at a high place, you feel like you've descended and entered the lowest lows. Now, Jesus was at a high place called Judea, but then he went to Capernaum, which is a lower place. So he was at ascension and then he descended literally. Like that guy said, come down, come down. Now what happened was, Jesus didn't even have to lay hands on that man's son. He spoke the word. The man believed his word. Your words can have power, my friends. If your word has the gunpowder of faith in it, then your words won't be shooting blanks. They'll be shooting bullets, right? And that's what happened. Jesus spoke power and life. But the thing is, the man believed him. He didn't walk off with unbelief and say, hey man, you don't have time to come over and touch my son. It was quite the journey. It must have been quite the journey if the guy was asking his servants, what hour was that when that happened? Right? It was quite the journey to get back to his home. Jesus spoke the word, and the man's son was healed. The fever had left him the very same hour that Jesus had spoken. That is sudden, immediate ascension. You understand that? And Jesus delivering that healing, delivering that health, that is ascension as well. When you lay hands on the sick or you speak life into somebody and they get what you spoke and they believed it. They received it because they believed it, or you believed it for them. Guess what? You ascended. It must be amazing what Jesus was experiencing and what his disciples were experiencing around him, and others that even weren't his disciples, but they were viewers. They saw what he was doing. Must have been amazing to witness that. And you got Christ in you. You have all his power and authority in you today. Do you know that? He gifted you with that. Don't bury your talents, my friend. Use them. They were gifts given to you by the Lord. Don't be afraid to use them. The enemy wants you to fear. The enemy wants you to doubt. The enemy wants you to quench those things with unbelief. And he wants you to stay at a low place of descension. But let me tell you, when you use what you have in Christ, that is ascension. And I said this before, and I want to say it again. I want you to know that most likely, before you experience ascension, you're going to find yourself experiencing descension. Jesus was already ascended. He was in Judea. You are already ascended. You are in a high place. You are in Christ. You can't get any higher than that. Seated in him. But in this world, walking around in our bodies in this world, where our minds are still being renewed, we will experience times of what seems to be descension. But just like when you are on a trampoline, have you ever been on a trampoline in your life? If you want to rise high or ascend while you're on a trampoline, that means to bounce way high up, you first must descend. And the higher you want to ascend, the lower you must descend. You understand that? The lower you go on a trampoline, the higher you're going to ascend. When water rises, it rises first because it fills a lower place, a hole in the ground. The water runs in, it descends into that low place, but then what happens? It rises, filling up that low place, it ascends. So don't be surprised, you guys, if before you experience ascension, you're always seated in Christ. You're already there. But in your mind, in your emotions, even with your body, there's going to be times of descending. And you got to be prepared. And keep your mind, keep your thoughts in trust and faith and in believing. And watch what you experience. Ascension. Even if you hit your lowest lows, like I have hit so many low lows this year, but then there's that sudden, immediate, just whoa, things seem to have just changed like that. But I didn't let my mind stay in that low place, even though it seemed like it. I would experience it for even days at a time, it seemed. There's no snapping out of this. There's no snapping out of this. Oh, but you know, you're keeping that faith from being wavering. And maybe it was wavering a little bit, but you tighten your grip on it till that faith gets solid. And the next thing you know, bam, ascension. That boy had that fever and was sick. And maybe the father is even giving up hope, but he thought, you know what? There's the one that has the answer. There's the one that he can deliver him. I'm going to go to that one. And I'm going to be in expectation that one is going to set my son free. And that very one that man put his trust in, because it says he believed. When you believed, it means you put your trust and faith in. And that's what he did. He believed just the word of Yeshua, Jesus. And because he did, that very thing that seemed to be descending, his son experienced ascension. The Father experienced ascension because he loved his son so much. And our Father, by the way, loves us very much too. He loves you very much and wants you well. Wants you healed, healthy, whole, spiritually, mentally, physically, all of it. All we got to do is believe. And don't let your faith waver, you guys. Because the enemy wants you to descend and just keep you down. But you know what? That trampoline gets pushed down, you know what? It's got to go back up. Your descension is your launching pad for ascension. Remember that. Anyway, you guys, God bless you all. I hope you all have a great one, and I'll see you all in the next video.